I the story of the Mind Band goes back to my interest in human aging, which I really got deeply involved in back in the late 1990s and made a serious study of it for 15, 20 years. And the deeper I got into studying how humans and all living things can be optimally vital, I became increasingly aware that this is all about energy in one form or another. And the deeper I looked into the physics and the quantum mechanics and the biology of energy, I started realizing that the frequencies of energy that enter our body and that we emit from our bodies cause profound changes in our vitality. And that energy can interact with our past, with our emotions, with our logic, with our metabolism, with our relationships. And so it was with a profound sense that I needed to better understand the energy in the body, and in particular in the brain, where my focus led me, that gave me the inspiration for the Mind Band. And it arose out of an awareness that there are certain natural elements in the world that when they are heated, they generate infrared light, which, as you may know, is generally very compatible with human biology. And so I found some fabric that contains what we call a diamond crystal of germanium and carbon. And when germanium is stabilized in a carbon matrix, it forms what we call a diamond crystal. And that diamond crystal, when it warms up, emits infrared light that our bodies like, our brains like it. It resonates with our brain waves. It resonates with the biocrystals in our own bodies, such as our DNA and our proteins and our skin and our muscles and our bone. So there's a crystal connection here between living systems and the Mind Band. And by the way, I just happen to be wearing my Mind Band because I'm doing an experiment today, and you probably know what that experiment is. But I have found over the last 2 years using the Mind Band that I can not only move energy around my brain, actually bring new energy into my brain where I want it, but I can also balance the energy in my brain. So if, for example, I'm feeling like I'm just wrapped up in linear thought, I'm just analyzing and, whether I'm paying bills or doing spreadsheets or, working on an agenda for a meeting or analyzing data, I'm using a lot of it is my left brain, which is our linear processing and logical center. And that's a very important part of our brain because this is how we process things to get through life. It operates on the same dimension that time does. And so when we're late for a meeting, we tend to invoke the left side of our brain to help us get organized and get to our meeting on time. The right side, on the other hand, is where many of our creative, emotional, and intuitive life lives. And oftentimes that gets diminished because of the frantic lives we live and the energy chaos in our environments, whether it's with EMFs or chemicals in the water that, affect our energy, or, different lifestyle aspects that we encounter can cause us to diminish or not make our intuitive and emotional side a priority as we navigate life, as we try to make money, as we try to deal with people, as we try to find where we left our keys, all of that. And what I found was when I first started working with the MindBand, I was very much dominant on the left side of my brain, which was not surprising to me, although I was curious about the imbalance in my brain because I consider myself to be a fairly emotionally available person and someone who has a fairly strong creative and intuitive side. But I couldn't deny what I saw on the scans. When I looked at the energy coming out of my brain biofield, it was definitely not balanced. So I did an experiment, much as the one I'm doing right now. I have the MindBand diamond crystals on the right side of my head right now because I scanned myself this morning and I found that, yes, I was dominant energy in the left side again. And so what I found over the last year or year and a half is that as I've been moving energy from the left side, well, actually not moving it, but as I've been bringing new energy into the right side of my brain and balancing it with the energy that's already in the left side, that it started opening up neural pathways that I had not experienced, maybe since I was a child. And it allowed this freedom of movement between the linear and the intuitive, between the logical and the emotional, between the analytical and the creative. And it was like all of a sudden I had this new set of communication channels that were open that was allowing me to think both logically and creatively at the same time. And I liked it. I liked it a lot because I was feeling empathy at the same time I was feeling logically able to deal with the situation. That's just one example of what we've noticed with our studies with the MindBand. Something else we've noticed, and I've done studies with up to 30 people now using the MindBand, scanning their brain biofields, looking at their notes and their log sheets over the month that they use the MindBand. And many positive responses have been observed now. Focus for people who don't have a strong left side biofield in their brain. When they moved the MindBand to the left side, they noticed that they had a surprising amount of ability to process linearly that they did not have before. Dreams. Many people were experiencing interesting new dream life. I had one person in the study who had been trying to make contact with his mother who had died 2 days after he was born. And he had been working on trying to reach her so that he could learn about her. And he'd gone through hypnotherapy and a lot of other processes to try to reach to his mother. And now this gentleman in his 80s had still not succeeded. And with the MindBand, he told me that after about an hour of wearing the MindBand going into a hypnotic state, he reached his mother. He found her. And apparently she found him because they have now had at least 3 long conversations about what happened to her and how she died of brain cancer right after he was born and how she carried him in utero when she had brain cancer. And so many unanswered questions that this man had been searching for decades to find. And he said he couldn't believe it. And it was just an amazing change in his life. Stress reduction, anxiety reduction, a sense of balance. These are all the kinds of things that people were observing without being prompted. I did no prompting during this study. I did not give any advice except after doing the first scan of their brain biofields. I made some suggestions that they might try this or that, but then I really left them to themselves. And 2 weeks in, I did a scan on them, and then at the end of a month, I did another scan, and that report is available if for anyone who would like to see it. You and I are doing more studies now. We're launching a new study with the MindBand, and we're going to have a big get-together on Saturday the 24th, I hope, and welcome women who would like to experiment and learn and try out our latest version of the MindBand. So I think I'll wrap it up because the sun is rising in the sky and there are many things to do in the day, including I'll see you probably around 1 o'clock, okay? All right. Take care. Bye-bye.